First off, we're happy to be back home after a long trip. Feel like we have a really, or we have a better understanding of who we are after playing the last 5 games, playing some good teams in those games in their home parks, and um, just kind of a way better feel now for kind of what we need to improve upon and what we need to keep doing well. So, um, got some kids that are going really good. Obviously with February, Factor, even though Doggett's numbers probably aren't like jumping off the board, she's been really, really good, really professional type at bats, some big at bats, um, and feeling good about her making some great plays in left field, really playing well. And then obviously pitching well, Kelly. Her numbers are kind of uh, off the charts good, and uh, just excited with her overall growth from where she started out here her first year. And I guess the other thing, I'm really glad that she's a third year freshman, so we got a lot of time to have her here, her around here. So and then Carrie just doing what Carrie does, just competing, grinding. I don't even feel like she's anywhere close to her best stuff at this point, but just kind of seeing improvement there each day. She's one that kind of brings her level up as the game goes too. So it's kind of neat to see. So that being said, I'll just open it up to some questions. Hey, you guys shut that door. Like,
Coach, I was just curious. Obviously, softball and the nature of diamond sports is, you're gonna drop games. It's really hard to, go undefeated and have massive win streaks. But looking back on this season, just the one loss to start off the season on such a tear. What does it say about the focus of this team that y'all have specifically won every game that you've been favored to win?
yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't know. In my mind, we should have been favored in all these games, to be honest. I mean, I know you guys look at like LSU and their their success over the past years, but I'd match us up against any of these teams with Carrie and the kids that we have back and the experience that we have back. So I'm disappointed that we lost that one game. I'm not we're not like losing sleep on it, but it's a game. Even even the UL game, I think we're a better team. I think again we have more experience, and we didn't play well, and so as a coach, I think it kind of feels good. I'm disappointed that we lost, but we also got our attention that we can't play um, the way we played and expect to be a good team. So it's something to coach to. The way we're hitting is also something else that we can coach to. It'd be one thing if we were 14-0 and and we're hitting 380. It'd be hard to kind of jump on these kids. But we gave them 2 days off when we got back, and we've been practicing really hard. I mean, I don't have any. I'm not having any issues with attention right now. They're all locked in. They all got to get better. And I think like I told them, when you start off 13-1 and and you guys talk about all these streaks and things, like that. We're not talking about that stuff here, but we're talking about how do we get better to win games in OKC, not to get to OKC, but to win games. That's the culture and mindset and mentality that these kids have. So I just reminded them last night as we practiced after 2 days off, and we weren't sharp, but our effort and mentality was good. And that's why I told them that's what we've got to be. Not worried about who we're playing or how many games that we've won in a row or who's coming in this weekend or next weekend. It's all about getting better here today, and having a mindset that there's a team about 80 miles south here that is really good too. And that's their mindset. I know that. I've been around that. So for us to want to be there, we got a long way that we've got to go.
And in
All
a
right.
completely different vein of questions, I know Jordan made a diving catch against LSU. First off, it kind of like made the rounds on Twitter and stuff. But I'm curious, what do you remember seeing from the dugout of her catch?
Um, The first one I didn't see because where I was at, I was blocked. I knew she caught it the way our dugout had reacted. I saw the other. I think she had one or two of them that were really good. Maybe even a third one. But she's just playing well. She's a gamer type kid. Like she's a kid that is like I could classify her as a kid that when the game comes, she's just able to kind of rise up. She practices hard every day. She's very intent on what she's going to do and how she's going to go about her day. But she tends to rise up. The moment's not too big for her. I can tell you that right now. The only thing that I've had to learn she's maybe been as emotional of a player as I've coached here. Shippy was the same way some, but she didn't show it quite as much. Jordan really shows it. I kind of made a joke to our whole team that I don't think a pitcher's thrown a pitch that she's taken that she doesn't think it's a strike. So, she'll look at me and like shrug her shoulders, and I just kind of laugh at her. And I've kind of, it's some kids I would say, hey, there's too much emotion. Like just let it go. With her, I'm just kind of like, I just kind of turn around and let her be, because that's kind of who she needs to be to play the way that she wants to play. So.
Yeah, can that be an advantage or a disadvantage depending on how you can contain that emotion, or what do you view that as a player? What type of quality do you view that as?
Yeah, I would think that it could be both. But she's old enough now that if I think it's bothering her, I can go right to her and say, "Hey, your emotion made us be a little too much." And I think she looks at me and goes, "Yeah, okay, I got you." If it's a young kid, it's like that. Then you're like riding this emotional roller coaster, and that's a bad place. So again, maybe in my 6th year, I'm a little better at that. I'm not perfect, but maybe having 6 seasons now to kind of figure out who these kids are. They all need to be coached a little different way. That's kind of what's made our program good. And that's kind of why we've been able to succeed with some transfers, because I work really hard at trying to figure out what they want to be, who they think they are, who they actually are, and then when they play best, what's it look like? Right now, I would tell you that she plays well with the emotion. So I'm not going to take it away. I'm just going to turn around and not let it bother me, even though that's not the way I would want to play. And I would liken it to Sam Shao. I would not have ever bat flipped. My coach, maybe my dad may have taken me behind the shed when it was over with and said, "Don't ever do that again." But that's what Sam Shao needed to play the way she played, to play at the level that she played. And she was willing to take the criticism as well. And so who am I to stop that?
Thank you.
And I wanted to ask you about bringing in John. Obviously, a shortened season in 2020. Now, hopefully, a full season. Just what were you looking for with that addition, that hire? And are there certain things you've seen him work with or do with Carey or Kelly? Just kind of how he's made an impression on them.
Yeah, I have a nickname for him. He's the pitching whisperer. He's just, he brings a level of comfort to me personally, because of his experience as a head coach. And I think he does that to the pitchers. I've never seen his emotion change. I've never seen a different demeanor. Never heard him, like he just kind of, it's the same monotone voice, and it's not low, it's not high, it's just the same, it's steady Eddie. And so I think our pitchers really, they feed off that. I'm the total opposite. Like maybe I'm somewhat of Jordan that I don't want to be. I try not to be that, but he's just so his experience is so good. He was a great athlete. I think things came really easy to him as an athlete too. So he just kind of walks around here like, hey, this is just, you just do it like this and everything's the same and nothing ever changes. And when he speaks, which is not often, like to our team, it's really got some good bite. I can remember last year, we were in the fall and we were going through our stuff, and um, he had yet to really address our team, just other than, the pitching staff. And I give our coaches a chance to talk every day. Everybody had a chance when practice is over. Hey, you got anything? You got anything? And most time nobody says much. But I can remember one point we're in the dugout and we're actually before practice. And I was talking to him about some expectations and things that we have on practice and things, like that. And I was disappointed that we had kind of let a couple things go and our seniors weren't kind of leading, the way I wanted to. And John, I said, hey, does anybody have anything they want to add? And nobody said anything. And then we were about to break. And then John said, hey, I got something I want to say. And I can remember now going, ooh, this will be interesting. I've never heard anything yet. And he said something that really resonated well for all of us. It was his first year here. And he reminded them that, guys, remember, last year didn't start out in OKC. It ended in OKC. And it was the journey that we forget. We remember the end, but we forget the journey. We forget the struggle. We forget all of the other things. And it was a really good reminder of that for even me. I just wanted to pick right back up and go, and he was like, hey, this is a new team. This is a new journey. And we all have to get on that bus or in that car and just enjoy what's coming at us, and we'll navigate it as we go along. So his mentality, I would tell you, is the first thing. The next thing would just be his experience as a pitching coach. I mean, you look at what he's done with kids. I look at like Emily Watson, who is one of the best kids that he's ever had. Emily Watson probably would have gone to OU or OSU if they would have offered her. It was before me and Coach Gasso and OU had the same chance. Nobody offered her. But John did. He obviously saw something that he really liked. So what I would tell you is he's very good at seeing things that he can coach to. And then he's very good at instilling a confidence in these kids that they can do it. And, I think it just goes back to his calming nature. It's very calming. And so I think our girls feel the same way. I think we pitch very calm. The biggest thing I struggle with John is when we're on the bus and our girls play some music that I know makes him cringe. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I wonder what John is thinking right now. And so that's the biggest thing I struggle with, but he's just been his experience, his calming nature is what we needed for the pitching staff for sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, Kenny, I actually wanted to ask you a little bit of non-softball question if I could. We learned today that Mike Holder is going to step down later this year and Chad Weiberg likely to step into that role. What's been your, I assume Mike probably hired you. What's been your impressions of just his legacy? And let's start there. I'm going to ask you about Chad too.
Okay. I just learned of it about an hour ago. And I knew it was coming at some point. And I even kind of thought it was coming at the end of this fiscal year. So I'm not going to tell you that I'm like shocked, but I'm sad. Because he did hire me. I mean, he gave me this shot of a lifetime to be here. And he didn't have to when it's more popular to hire a female. And it's more popular to do what the public sentiment wants you to do. He's always done what's best for OSU in his mind. And I'm grateful and I'm sad. And I don't know if it's on his terms. I hope it is, because he is everything at OSU, from a walk-on athlete to becoming an All-American to creating or maintaining and taking the golf team to levels that nobody will go to building Karsten Creek, to being the best fundraiser of all time. One of the main reasons I took this job, a couple of them were the history here at OSU. I knew the history here. It was just, I knew it. And then I was like, how can I pass up an opportunity to be coached myself by one of the greatest collegiate coaches of all time? And I heard a lot of the horror stories. I heard a lot of how he was before. And on my interview, I was like, whoa, if he takes this, I won't, or if he offers me this job, there is not even a question in my mind that this is where I'm going to go. And I can recall being picked up at the airport on my trip here for my interview, and Chris Young was communicating with me the whole time. He was kind of the lead coach in the deal, and he was going to pick me up. And I remember landing. I remember asking Chris, "Hey, what should I wear? I know Coach Holder's not always like a suit and tie guy," and he goes, "I don't know. I'd probably wear a suit." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to wear a suit." And I remember Coach Holder called me the day before, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, I'm going to wear a suit." And he's like, I wouldn't wear a suit. I'm not going to hire you because you're wearing a suit. He goes, "Just be comfortable." You know what I mean? And so I was like, well, this is a sign I'm wearing a suit. And I can remember landing in OKC. We had just won our second national title at UF, and getting off that plane. And I was going to go in and I wasn't in a suit. I wasn't in a tie yet, but I was in a suit. I turned my phone on and it just started. I mean, it must have beeped 15 times. And it was Chris Young 15 times going, "Hey, change of plans. Coach Holder's going to pick you up." And I was like, oh crap. So I run into the bathroom in the airport, put my tie on, brush my teeth. I'm like, oh geez, this is here. We're going to start. And I can remember getting in his car, and he looked at me and goes, "I told you not to wear a suit." And I was like, well, I only get one shot, to make a first impression. And I got in the car, and he's in this vest and t-shirt and holey jeans and boots. And so we get into the car, and he's smiling, and I'm scared to death. And we get in the car, and we're on our way to Stillwater. And he says, we kind of had some small talk, and he got my trip off to the best start, because I stutter, and I'm focused on really making the best impression that I can. My stuttering doesn't bother me, but I want him to know that I'm going to be out front in this program, that I know I'm going to have to speak a lot, and I want to. I love it. And so one of the first things he said to me, he goes, "I heard you stuttered." And I said, "Yeah, I do." And he said, "Doesn't bother me." And it loosened me to a point where I was able to be so real from the start. And then the second thing he told me is, we've been watching you. We've had our eye on some other people, which I knew some people had turned this job down, but people I knew wouldn't take this job. And I could remember him saying, I've been doing a lot of research on you. We've been watching you on TV. We've had a few of our people that have gone to games over in OKC to just watch the way you act and interact. And he goes, I can only find one thing. I really, I don't know how we're going to handle yet. And I said, "Okay, what's that?" And he goes, "You're a Sooner." And I just started laughing. And I said, "You know what, Coach? I am. And I don't even want to change that. It's a part of my life that I don't want to change. I love it. I'm where I'm at here today because of that part of that." And I said, "But I promise you this, if you'll hire me, I'll be the best cowboy you've ever had." And I could tell right then that was my job. I really feel like that. And it was in the first 20 minutes of our drive. We probably weren't even to Edmond or through Edmond yet. And I was like, this is my job. And the whole time, I could just tell the way he looked at me and the way we talked, I was like, I want to work for this guy. And there's been days here where I want to wring his neck. You know what I mean? Like he drives you nuts, but he's constantly coaching you. And that's the greatest gift that he's given me, is to run the program the way I want to. And if we want his help, to ask. And I don't know that there's too many departments around the country where it's like that anymore. The way we've handled COVID, the way he's allowed us to do things, the way he treats us as a staff, his growth is crazy. I mean, people need to talk about his growth too, because his growth at a later part of his professional career has been crazy. The way he's really grown and evolved. And so I'm just grateful. I apologize for breaking down, but it's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be weird, as we go through all this.
Well, you mentioned, Kenny, what you said to him about you'd be the best Cowboy, he could find. But when I think about his legacy, I mean, it's hard to beat that legacy he's leaving behind, whether it's coaches that he's hired and the way they've built programs or facilities he's built. I mean, obviously his legacy with Boone, but I mean, I don't know, is it almost hard to wrap your mind around just what he's invested back to the place he loves so much?
He's set the bar so high that you can't, it's almost unfair to even think that you could match it. You're not passing it. I mean, it'd have to be Mike Boynton at his age and staying here for 30 to 40 years. And then you could make it happen. I mean, Mike Boynton's on the right path. I mean, he's the leader here, if you ask me. Like when you look at him and the way he supports and the way he's constantly around and constantly, I wish I could share the text that Mike Boynton sends me and others here. It's phenomenal. This Olympics coaching staff, I've never been around anything like it. It's the way that Coach Holder has enabled it to happen. It's a way we've got a group of people here that want it to happen. It's a genuine deal. Never seen anything like it. I've been in some great places, and that's no disrespect to any of them. But Mike Boynton has that chance to be that type of a guy here. If he stays here long term and wins and does all those things that you got to do. But Coach Holder sets the bar here. Nobody can match him here. Nobody, like, I need you to ask him when you get to talk to him again and say, hey, just how many days is it? And he'll say, what? Say, how many days have you worked out in a row and got 10,000 steps? And we're going on like 3+ years. It's, and maybe it's more. It's scary. Like when I walk in the weight room and see him there, I want to leave because he outworks us all. Like he's 72 or 3. He's on the ground working out like kids. And it's like, I'm like, stay away. Like, he's like, hey, welcome back. He talks trash all the time. Like, where have you been? I'm like, fat and old and not you, and I mean, he's just like the guy, there's nothing that you can say to him. There's no excuse. Because he's not buying it. And he's done it. I can remember him saying, hey, when I took the job at OSU, my budget was $27,500 and that included my salary. I mean, come on, guys. Like, he's seen it all. And now he's seen the budgets that we see in his golf program, flying on private jets, nonstop, because of money that they raise and the way they win and do things. It's crazy what the guy's done. And I'm going to miss him and Robbie both. I hope it's going to bring them to more softball games, to be very honest. He's a closet softball fan, so don't let him tell you any differently. When we were making our run to OKC, he told me, he goes, I can't believe I'm going to tell you this, but Robbie and I stayed home and watched every super regional game of all 8 of them. He said we couldn't turn it off. And I was like, I knew you liked this. So I'm excited that he's going to stay around. I kind of read a few lines. I feel sorry for all those people at Karsten Creek, because that's probably where he's going to wander off to. There, that he's going to be tough on all of them. But I know that he'll be here for Chad, for the rest of the staff, for all of us. We'll have him forever. As long as he's around here, he'll be here to help us. And I fully anticipate him helping me raise money here along with Chad to build us a mini Obrate right over here.
I know he's got those seats that he and Robbie have long sat in at Gallagher Iba. Do they have seats over there at Cowgirl Stadium, or do they need some?
I had to kick him out because I needed to sell them. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't have enough. I keep telling him, you really can't have any seats here because I need more. And I need people that are going to be here every day. But if he commits to coming each game, I'll give him 2 of mine.
Awesome. Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, switching gears a little bit back to something you said. You're talking about the success you have with these graduate transfers. How do you kind of approach bringing in these players to your program?
It's really nothing that we do proactively. I think it's what you see as success for those kids, and then that recruits itself. My team is also as big a part of that. They have friends across the country that they played with or against in travel ball or here, and so they start to have conversations, and we just kind of stay out of it, to be very honest, because I want our girls know what to ask. They know what they want here. They know what the expectations are here. It's not easy. And it's different than every other place. It doesn't mean it's the best. It just means it's different and it's not easy. And so you have to be willing to come in here and help us, just like we have to be willing to open arms, bring you in here and help you. I mean, Sam Shao needed some help, but we needed some help that she could help us with. Feebree's the same way. Doggett's the same way. We've got more of them that have come. Those are ones that are just easy for you to. Carry's one. Pitchers, man, they're a different breed. They need some guidance and help too. But the things that they've been able to repay us with, I hope we're able to repay them with. And I think we have. That's why we continued to get those kids. So, again, it's not something that I'm sitting here like looking at rosters or anything. I'm focused on our team. And then, if somebody's out there and they have interest, we'll figure out how somebody will call me and reach out and say, hey, so-and-so. And I'm like, hey, are they in the portal or not? You know what I mean? And if they're in the portal, then they're free game. But we don't sit around here on the portal. That's one thing I want to make sure that you guys know. Like, I don't even have a login. I don't even know how to go on the portal. I'm sure I could figure out how, but it's not something that we're like spending time on in here.
Well, and then more specifically, you kind of touched on it a little bit, just with Carrie. Do you kind of remember the specifics of how she came from Virginia Tech to OSU?
Where was I? I think I was asleep in Tallahassee. And this is exactly the truth. I was sleeping. My phone rang and there was a phone number from North Carolina. And I don't answer calls and I don't know who it is. And I'm like, went back to sleep. It was early. And so that I got a text and about an hour after that, and it was the same number. And it was a travel coach of hers that said that Carrie was going on the portal. And I was like, I'll take a look. Like, I don't even know who Carrie is at this point. We're trying to get to OKC. And so I probably did what most coaches would do. I got my computer out real quick. Like when I heard pitcher and I heard number 1, I said, I'm gonna go check this out. And so I started to look at her stuff and I was like, oh crap. So that's how that started. So once we got done winning that, I made sure she was on the portal. We reached out. I said, hey, just stay in touch. I want to talk to you. You're super important, but we got some big things going on here. And she was like, yeah, I know. Just call me as soon as you're done. But it's scary because even though you're playing games, you got to keep recruiting. Recruiting is never ends. It never stops. So we just started that process. Carrie was down. She had really narrowed it to 3 schools. All 3 schools had her major. I think and we luckily had the best program in the country. And it was us, Florida, and Kentucky, I think was the other one. I think it was them. You'll have to verify, with her. But I was like, all right, we got a shot. And here I go. I'm going to go up against Tim again. So we'll see if we can beat those guys. And when I heard that, I was like, crap, you know what I mean? That's going to be a tough one. But I was like, hey, we can go up against anyone here. We just got to get one of those kids like Shao. Shao probably really helped that. So.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Coach, we're coming up on a year with this pandemic. So I'm wondering what it was like, at the beginning when everything happened, and then when your season got canceled, and like how this whole year has been in totality.
Yeah, I don't know if we have enough time on here to kind of go through all that, but I can tell you it was like, without being disrespectful to people who have lost family members and friends and the death toll and all that kind of stuff, it was like a death. I hate to use that term exactly. So I hope you paint that right as you write that. But because I don't want to be insensitive, but it's what it was like. It was like a bad breakup, that you have to ride this roller coaster of emotions. You're angry, you're sad, you're whatever those 5 or 4 or 5 are, you have to ride those. And it was really hard on our kids. It was really, really hard. And I didn't really know that until the fall when we came back here. I was so happy when we got back here. I was like, the band is back together finally. And the band was together, but they were a mess and they were not getting along. They were not what we left. And I just, once I saw that, I was able to go back to what I told you about John, Graham, what I told you about John. Like, the comedy said, every team's a new team and every journey is a new journey. And I had that already stored in my head. I was like, okay, now I'm going to pick them off one at a time. And I did. I started going to my leaders who weren't leading the way they led the past year. And I just said, I don't like your mentality. I don't understand, I don't understand why it's just not easy, why we can't just go back. And they're like, it's just, you don't understand how hard it's been. And I'm like, I don't, but I do. And but I don't as a 20-year-old kid. And so I had to get my hands wrapped around all that. I have complete trust in every staff member here. So I let them do their jobs at a high level. And I started to pick these kids off just one at a time and figure out where they were exactly, what they needed, and how I was going to step in and help facilitate some conversations that they needed to have with teammates or anyone, and figure out the best way to do that. And that's what I think my strength is. I'm not a very good softball coach. I think I'm a better people person. And so I wanted to make sure that I could do what I do best. And so once we started to kind of get that right, this team has really taken off. I kept telling you guys in the fall that couldn't wait to get on the bus. And I kind of couldn't wait to get off our bus after 10 days, but I can tell you it was 10 really enjoyable days with these kids. And I'm seeing things and hearing things. And again, I'm not going to get in their way as long as they're doing things right and they're respectful. So just an array of emotions, really, really hard. Nothing like we've ever done. I think I want to write a book. I don't know how that goes, but I really want to write a book about things, what we learned, what we didn't know, what we know now. I think it'd be a crazy great book. The way OSU has handled the pandemic here, it's the model of success. I mean, I don't know that anybody's handled it any better than what we've done here. Maybe somebody's just as good, but it's been great. So I'm glad I feel like I'm glad we're on the back end. I have an appreciation for life, relationships, softball more than I've ever had. And I feel like I've always been pretty good at that, but sometimes even people that think they're good at that, we take it for granted. I can tell you, I don't take one day for granted here at practice or any of that kind of stuff. And that's the way I've tried to talk to our kids. You can't take one day for granted here anymore. It cannot happen.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Hey, Coach.
Hey guys,
you'll be
can
in
we?
town.
I don't want to take away questions from anybody, but we need to do one last quick one. We've got about 2.5 minutes before Zoom cuts us off. So I'll let you ask one more and then we'll have to cut it off today.
So you'll be in town for quite a while. What are you looking for from this team just in that stretch?
Just looking for our offense to get going, to be a little tougher, to have some better at bats. That's what I can't wait till tomorrow for. I want to see our kids continue to pitch well. I like they pitch. I think that's gonna happen. I want to see our defense to continue to roll like it's rolling. But I want to see our offense, these kids that we know that are talented, to kind of work through some little bugs that you work through every year. And then I just can't wait to play in front of our fans. I cannot wait. This place is going to be electric no matter how many fans are here tomorrow. My phone is blowing up. I can feel it around here. I walked outside, today I pulled up here at 7:30 today and I was like, the ground crew is out there. The light, the way it was hitting our field and our place, I was just like, it's almost game day here. It just has a different feel. And so I can't wait to feel that. And then to go home and sleep in my own bed.
All right. Thank you, Coach. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. Coach and the players will be available after each of our games this weekend, and we'll get you those links.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.